Hello and welcome to the Lost Caverns of Ixalan common set review. I'm Kevin, have Nate with me, and over Discord, a special guest, John Guzman. How are you doing, John?
Doing well. I'm excited to talk about this new set.
Oh, dude, and it's gonna be a spicy one. We're gonna dive right in to the white commons without wasting any time. Actually, before we do, we're gonna waste a little bit of time. Nate, could you please go over the rating system that we are gonna be using today?
I'd be happy to. So the idea of our system is that C is the middle of your middling commons, or not necessarily commons, your middling playables end up in somewhere in C tier. If you're like neutral to neutral positive, that's your C tier. D tier is like your 23rd, 24th card that you play if you have to. And instead of an F tier, we do what we call a good art tier because there aren't any bad cards. They're just good cards and cards with nice art.
All right, and without further ado, let's kick it off with Acrobatic Leap. It is a single white for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+3 and gains flying until end of turn. Untap it. It's just a reprint with in a different color. How is Leaping
Yeah.
Ambush in white?
Yeah. Hold on. This is more than Leaping Ambush, okay?
Okay, I'm listening.
This
Okay.
is the mix of Leaping Ambush and Archon's Glory right here.
And Archon's Glory. Why is it Archon's Glory?
Because it gives flying, dude.
It does gain flying. I'm interested. So it's a one. It gives flying. It untaps it, and it's a 1/3 in white. Which I'm already. I don't know if you know this. I'm very high on white as a color. But
Yeah, I like white. Uh,
although the problem with this is that it's a combat trick, and therefore it never gets out of D plus tier
It
for me.
it's a combat trick that doesn't replace itself, therefore it's a D plus at best.
I'm giving this. I think this is like a D for me. I'll run it, and it'll be
Yeah.
okay. And if I don't run it, I put something else that's better, like removal. I'm happy.
I am solid D as well.
Okay.
Where I'm at for
yeah,
acrobatic.
I put it D plus. I'd put it D
Okay.
plus because I
Okay.
think
Okay.
this
Yeah.
is.
Dreaming a little bit. I like that. If this is like what's that game show where you try to guess the price is right? If this
The
is like
price
the
is right.
price is
I'll
right,
go $101.
exactly. You know what? That's what gets you there. John,
Yeah.
what does this card do?
Well, we got Deconstruction Hammer, one white for artifact equipment. And it says equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has pay 3 generic, tap it, sacrifice it, and destroy target artifact or enchantment. And it also equips for 1.
There hasn't been a playable artifact that didn't say Formiran on it, and like or equipment in like 3 or 4 sets. So I'm giving this a D minus and moving on.
You're giving this a D
Well, I just
minus.
like what they're doing. I feel like they're like this in like general for being about equipment. They're pushing it better to like fit the mold, I guess.
So
Because this, I
you
would
want to give this a
say,
D instead
is
of a D
still
minus?
better than like the shitty equipments from past sets.
Okay, so it's shittier than the shit. So we can get shit plus.
No, it's less shitty than the shit.
It's less shitty than the shit plus. So it's like, what do you think? Like D plus? Where are you? I'm D minus. I'm saying that someone will put this in their deck and maybe win incidentally after they cast their mythic or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'd never run it.
You are giving this. I'm sorry. This is embarrassing.
This is
This
just
is a good art tier
wow.
card for
The
This
first
is
me.
a
our
good art
first good
tier.
art tier. I
I
respect
would
it.
put it in good art tier,
Okay.
but I appreciate the effort.
I'm gonna okay. I'm sticking to my guns, but I appreciate that. And then
Miner's Guidewing, one white for a 1/1 bird, flying vigilance. When it dies, target creature you control explores.
we had this in like a lot of our decks,
It's a
our
one
deck
drop
skeletons.
that does the thing. It's either good to sack or has incidental exploration value. In the more aggressive decks in this format are decks that want one drops or just random things to sacrifice. It's okay.
Let me paint you a story of something that happens to me quite often. I keep a hand and it's on. I'm on the play. I have both my colors and I have 2 lands. I play this and I'm like, thank goodness, this is great. I'm gonna go find my land. And if I don't find my land, I've instead played a 2/2 flying vigilance for 1 mana. This is a good Magic the Gathering card.
Well, no, it's when it dies, right?
Yeah, it's a
So it's
death
never a
trigger.
2/2.
Okay. Target creature. Ooh, that does make it a
It
little
gives
bit worse.
something else.
Yeah, so I wouldn't really keep this in
Oh,
like a hand
oh,
where you're
that.
desperate for land.
Oh yeah. Okay, that actually takes it down a lot. It still has a lot of words on it for a 1-drop.
It
Right,
is.
and the fact that it has
Yeah.
flying and vigilance,
Okay.
right? So it's
Okay.
gonna attack and it's gonna keep being a nuisance,
It's not as
as well
broken
as a
as like
blocker
Native
when you
Card.
need
No.
it to be.
Okay. Okay. So then, where are you guys landing on this? Like probably C.
It's playable.
It's a
But
little low
a
value,
little low value.
but it's when it dies
I
eventually.
would say slightly better than acrobatic leap.
Okay.
So for me, I
So
guess it would be a C minus.
okay.
I'm on C minus D plus. I'll go C minus as well.
And I think the black white sack uh, in this set
Yeah.
might be something pretty good here.
Yeah.
Okay. I respect that. I'm sticking to C because I just 1-drops with text always end up being more playable than they should be in every format. So that's where I'm at. But I can respect what you guys are saying.
That's fair.
Next card is a flip card. It's got 2 sides to it. Otaclan Landmark. It's a single white for an artifact. When it ETBs, you scry 2, and you can craft for 3 for 2 and a white. Nate, can you explain craft to me, please?
Yeah, the idea of crafting is you pay a cost and you exile this thing as well as whatever else it calls for from either the battlefield or your graveyard. So in this case, exile an artifact from the battlefield or your graveyard, and you return it as its flipped side. It flips into a Teclon Levitator. It's a 1/4 flying, and when it attacks, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until EOT.
Okay, so right off the bat, this thing starts off as bad Candy Trail, or rather, it's just Candy Trail basically at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you can pay 3 mana, and it turns into a 1/4 flying that whenever it attacks, target creature without flying gains flying. So if you attack with like 2 dudes, you give one of this thing has flying and the other thing gets flying.
Yeah.
And you okay, I'm actually pretty down with this. I feel like this is like usually like 1 mana is the mana slot where you're not doing that much anyway, so it's like you can get away with doing and you kind of fix your draws and you can set it up, and then if you worst case you pay 3, you get a 1/4 flying, which is not the worst thing in the world. And then if you played a 2-drop, which you should be, then your 2-drop gets in.
There are enough random just artifacts that you can get rid of, especially because you can get rid of stuff from your graveyard, to where a lot of time this is the front side of Candy Trail, but instead of gaining you 3 life and drawing you a card, it turns into a big booty flyer that can incidentally give other things.
Okay, so how much
I just don't see where this card actually fits, because I feel like in aggro, you're not really wanting to spend 3 mana to play a 1/4 that's not gonna attack. Then
this belongs
you know,
in like the grind.
you're gonna have to like, so you set up your turn, like in the ideal situation, you gotta like set up your turn 2, right, for it to be maybe something, and then you're not gonna be activating it then. I feel like it's just too slow, and then like in a control-y kind of deck, it's just like you could be playing better. You're gonna go so behind on board by just playing this card.
Okay, so that's the problem I think is you're really hitting is you're not ever this isn't really a 3-drop.
No.
Because it's not a 1-drop and a 3-drop because you have to craft it with something else.
Yeah, this is a 1-drop and a late game mana sink.
And like sure, like you're like okay, like late game, wow, you're getting in like the flying on this thing doesn't really matter. It just has a big booty so that when you attack it doesn't get value traded by like whatever. But then like
or they just let you get hit.
Like, yeah, but then like okay, like but like let's say you just have like your 3-drop or something. Like I don't know, I feel like I'd be down to just get in with that guy.
And then I think the thing with Candy Trail was that it was very good in those like decks where you needed to gain life, right? Because you were just getting like overrun by a whole bunch of brats, or even just the Swift Spear guy. That it's like that 3 life really came in handy, and the fact that you were drawing a card on top of that, like this doesn't have any of that. Like what made Candy Trail good was not the Scry 2. True. And it was a generic mana. This you have to have white.
The other advantage of this, though, is it is an artifact for all the synergy decks, and it's a 1 mana sackable creature or artifact that when you sack it, it does activate Descend. So it has other incidental value with different decks in this format, the same way Candy Trail had value in like a food deck. And
Okay,
well,
how good was Candy Trail? That thing was like a D.
it was a solid D to D plus.
Okay,
I
this
would
is
play it in really if I like in any non-aggro deck. Candy
okay.
Trail fit fine.
So then this thing is like I'm giving this a D.
Yes.
D minus.
Okay,
I'm close to. No, if anything, I'd give this card a. It looks nice. It has some pretty nice art.
nice
I
art.
wouldn't play this card.
Okay.
Okay.
I will definitely be trying it, and you might be right, but I'm interested enough to leave it out of G for now.
I'm giving it a D. I'm saying this is potentially this format's Candy Trail, but that's not saying a ton.
Yeah, it's not like anything. We're missing too much here. How about this one, John?
Yeah. Attentive Sunscribe. 1 white and 1 colorless for artifact creature Gnome.
No.
2/2. Whenever the Sunscribe becomes tapped, scry 2. Now this guy I like.
Scry one.
Oh, scry 1. Yeah, sorry. That would just be too good. Scry 2.
That would be too good. You're correct.
Yeah. So the fact that he's an artifact, going into these artifacts energies is great. A 2/2 for 2 is nothing crazy, and scry 1 when
It's
it
all right.
attacks. That's all right. Like it's all around. Like if I need like the 23rd, 22nd card,
25th.
I'm fine playing this.
Oh yeah, no, I love this guy. I think he's just gonna be like he's like a bread and butter common for me. I feel like this is pretty much the definition of a C.
Yeah, this is the definition of a C for me, and what puts it above like that like D tier for me is it's a bear, which is on rate. So 2 mana bear is already like C minus D plus range, but its upside is significant, and it's an artifact creature, and it's when it becomes tapped. And there are a surprising number of abilities in this format that allow you to tap artifacts or creatures you control, so you don't have to attack with it to get the scry value. And this would bumps it up just a touch to roughly C for me.
Yeah.
I was gonna go D, but you saying that like there's those taps energies. I'd go ahead, see.
Cool. That's our first one where we've all actually unilaterally agreed on a card, and I feel like that's perfect because I feel like this is the definition of just a middling card.
Yep.
It's like you put it in, it's pretty good. It's nothing special. You take it like pick 8, pick 9, and you're
whoa, pretty good. Even then,
it's like you pick it.
I'm just
you
saying,
need
I'm playing
cards like
this
this
card.
in your deck to have it function. You need blockers, and this guy does that, and he has other stuff going on. So pretty good. Speaking of something that is less middling, Cosmium Blast. It's 1 and a white for an instant. Cosmium Blast deals 4 to target attacking or blocking creature.
I don't know, Kev. This is pretty middling.
It's
yeah,
middling?
this is middling. I'd have to agree.
Okay,
I think
I
think
just-
you're
I just
thinking
tried to segue, okay?
Cullen's.
Give me a break. Turn off the
Blades.
show here. I am the epitome of salt right now.
Cullen's Light Blades again wasn't like all that amazing, and this is I'd say worse than that.
It is almost a little bit
We
worse.
made Kellen's Light Blades. We worked really hard to make that like a C plus, and this
It was
is worse.
it was a C plus and like specifically a control deck that was always open, and then only then even then it was not that great.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is like a C minus. It's bad removal, but when you need it, it's there.
It's bad removal,
Yeah.
but like it's still removal, and therefore it's like better than it should be.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give it. I'll even. Man.
I'll give it a D plus.
Okay. I'll give it a C minus.
I'm on C minus.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, it is kind of worse. Kellen's Light. Let's go. I'm gonna go D plus. Actually, yeah. I'll leave with John on this one. So we'll see. Yeah, they
I'm
definitely.
taking my guns. C minus.
Okay. How about this one, Nate?
Thousand Moons Crack Shot. 1 and white for
Mwah.
2/2. Whenever it attacks, you can pay 2 and white when you do tap target creature.
I like this guy.
I dislike that it's only on attacks.
Yeah, that's my one thing. Is it has to attack for you to get this value.
That's the.
I like the fact that he pays 2 and a white to attack, because I think what really was kind of weird, especially we keep bringing up Wilds of Eldraine.
That's a good way. Yeah.
Like this fits better into that aggro kind of style of card, but paying 3 is just so much that, you'd probably want to be doing something better than tapping down a creature.
Yeah.
I think this is just going to help you, get that last bit of damage in.
Here's my problem with this card is usually with your 2-drops, you want to be consistently curving out, play a 2-drop, play a 3-drop, and when you play this, it's a bear, and then when you're attacking with it on turn 3, you're likely doing something else with that mana. So it's not until
100%.
turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, the tap value becomes relevant, and the later in the game you go, paying 3 mana to tap a creature just gets worse and worse and worse. And so it's a bear with marginal upside, but its upside is not as significant as something like the Sunscribes, so I'm significantly lower on this.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
This card, the problem with this card is that you guys are both right, but I just think that white is the best color, and
Oof.
if white is good, this is gonna see play, more play than it
Yeah.
should, and it's gonna have a higher win rate than it should.
Yep.
I think this is like a D card for me.
I don't think the people who are winning are going to be playing this card.
I think this. Okay, so I'm gonna stick to that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with D. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, D.
3 mana is really a lot of mana.
I looked at the 3 mana again. There was another card. It was some cat for 4. I think it was like 2 sets ago. And I thought that you had to pay when it attacked to tap something, but it just attacked and tapped something. So
That's-
paying 3, if you have the resources to do that, like,
Yeah.
you're probably behind. So
Yeah.
This for
not gonna win
me
that game.
reads 2 mana 2/2 in white.
And sometimes,
Yep.
yeah, some whites like if you need a playable, it's there, but I don't want this in my deck.
So I could see it being a D plus.
You're
maybe.
saying white is the best so far, Kevin, but I think there's only one real card that I see who I'd want to play, and that's the Sunscribe.
That's true. That you have a point, but man, that Sunscribe is a card, and we'll see. You know what? We'll see. You know what? We
Yeah.
got a lot of cards to review.
We have more commons to go.
Okay.
We're
Yeah,
not
that's
to
true.
like the strongest ones.
We're getting there. I'm getting this D. What are you guys giving this?
I'm gonna be a little nicer. I'm gonna go D plus.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. It's funny to say that I liked it, but now that I look at it again, I'm gonna give it a nice art.
Oh man, hey, John is the artist among us. Okay,
True.
he is classically trained in the finer arts, so he would know. And also, since you brought that up, I do want to say the Thousand Moons practice every maneuver thousands of times, allowing them to strike flawlessly without hesitation in the heat of battle.
As long as they're paying 3 mana.
Yeah, as long as I got that cheddar. Speaking of other cards that have the cheddar, Family Reunion. 1 and a white for an instant. Choose 1. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn, which is just dirty. Or creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn. All of them.
Okay, this is the combat trick I'm talking about.
This is pretty
I
spicy.
love
I like
it. This thing is gonna, man. People eventually you're gonna learn, like because good players are gonna. Against good players aren't gonna get blown out by this that bad. Like they're gonna hit your thing and you're gonna counter it, or they're gonna like do a block and they're gonna be like, okay, you got me. But like early in the set, people are just gonna like line up a bunch of greedy blocks without thinking it, like your local paper magic store event, like your sealed event, and they're just gonna get annihilated.
They're gonna get blown out so bad.
Like they're gonna lose their board to this thing.
And giving everything you control hexproof, so you want to target multiple of my things with your, removal spells? No.
Like I don't personally think the hexproof on more than one creature is really gonna matter too much. Because
Yeah.
I think they'll get the idea with the first one.
Yeah.
But I can just see it like now, like I'm hanging out with like my friends, we're playing like a paper like draft or whatever, and I'm just gonna line up some attacks, and I'm just gonna be like, oh shoot, I didn't mean to attack like that. Oh well, I guess I said it, and they're gonna line up their blocks, and I'm just gonna blow them out.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is. See, what I like about this card is it being at 2 mana.
Yep.
But oftentimes when I see these, +1, plus whatever, or usually +2/+0, they never really work. I think in Wilds of Eldraine, you have the rat one.
Yeah.
which was good because you got more rats.
Yep.
From your creature giants because they're gonna end up trade.
Rat out.
Yeah.
Or
No,
gnawing
not Rattle was the
crescendo.
black.
Oh,
This
no,
is
I
the
crescendo.
2 colorless one red.
Yeah, gnawing crescendo.
Oh, no,
So
crescendo.
I don't know. I don't know about this one.
It's
I
a
like that
combat
it's 2
trick.
mana. 2 mana is the selling point for hexproof. I think I'm gonna be using the hexproof more often than I am the +1/+1.
This is a combat trick. It's a good one. I'm giving it D+.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. This I gave Acrobatic Leap a D. This is better than that. This is a D+ for me. It's a combat trick, but this is a combat trick in white I want to play.
Yeah, I would rather play this than the other one because of the flexibility.
Yeah.
And the incidental, just all the little incidental stuff you get
Exactly.
from that.
Iron Paw Aspirant is next. 1 and a white for a 1/2. When it ETBs, put a 1/1 counter on target creature.
House. Absolute house.
He's solid.
It's a 2 mana 2/3 that with upside.
This is above rate
Yeah.
by itself, and if you have other things that want 1/1 counters, they can put it on there instead and just be a body for sack fodder. Or
Like, for
blocking.
example, 1/1 flying vigilance creatures.
I mean, I'm not going crazy for a 2 mana 2/3, but I think where he's gonna shine is he's gonna put that +1/+1 counter on another creature, and then he's gonna be sack fodder.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm
That's
super down with
great.
this guy.
I am so happy for that at 2 mana.
I'm gonna give this guy C+.
Yeah.
And he's probably gonna end up being a C, but I'm gonna give him a C+ because you know what? I believe in him.
This is a C+ for me.
I'll give him a C.
Really like this.
All right. John keeping us tethered to the earth, but I'm shooting for the moon with that guy. All right, John. Petra Casafion. What does it do?
Oh yes, or otherwise known as Petrify, is 1 colorless, 1 white for an enchantment aura. Enchant artifact a creature. Enchanted permanent can attack or block. So it's the pacifism of this
Hey,
set.
do you like?
And its activated abilities can't be activated.
Do you like?
So
Planar Disruption?
that's the sweet text on here. But I think the set is, there's a lot of cards that want to sack. This is going to be more of like that kind of tempo play where you're just kind of removing a creature for a couple of swings in. So not great, just because of the kind of how this set is
Right.
structured.
You're saying that like there's enough sack stuff going on that it's not like a B, but it's pretty good. Oh, you need.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
not a C. So I
Enchanting
put like
artifacts
C- D+.
means that this shuts down like the blue-white signpost uncommon. This means that you turn your signpost uncommon in blue-white into a 5 mana 4/4 or a 5+7 for 2 4/4s. Like, it shuts down so many like very relevant creatures. And yeah, black and white do have a fair amount of sack fodder or ways to sack in this format, which does take it down. But this is the best removal white's going to have access to, and enchanting artifacts is very relevant in this format. So I like this.
I don't know about the best removal that white's going to have.
Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at with this card.
At comment.
Look, I'm gonna play this thing, and I'm gonna put it on a creature, and they're more likely than not, I'm gonna choose a creature they didn't want to sack.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna sack it, well, great. You know what? Like that creature's dead now. I love it. It costs 2 mana. It asks basically nothing of you other than having access to planes, and the creature's gone now. And it's limited. Sometimes they're not gonna have it. I will never go lower than a C for this card.
I'm above C. I'm at like C plus B minus.
Oh wow.
Is where this card usually ends up. I'm gonna go C plus.
Okay. Where are you at, John?
C-, D+. You're gonna play. I think you play this if you can't find better.
Okay, so C- or D+. Which one you at?
I'll go ahead and put D+.
Okay. That's also meta dependent too,
Yeah.
on based on
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like I think we all are like at different spots of where we think the meta is going to be.
Mhm.
And so then what does this one do, John?
So we got a 2 colorless, 1 white envoy of Okniek. Ahu. I'm not even gonna say that. 4
I
colorless.
was like,
1
oh wow,
white.
very impressive.
He's a cat advisor. He's a creature, 3/3, but
Yeah.
he's gonna have the ability to pay 4 and 1 white to create a 1/1 gnome artifact creature token.
How are you on 5 mana and 1/1 gnomes?
I mean, I'd never pay 5 mana for a 1/1,
Okay.
but the fact that it's stapled on a creature, 3/3 generic. I think really, how slow is this set gonna be? I think
Yeah.
this is really gonna be dependent on how people are coming in and how useful trample is going to be. Because I've seen some of the red and green, and
Oh,
there's
that's
trample
interesting,
on there, and
actually.
there's even a green combat trick that gives trample. So I like the fact that it doesn't have that one clause where it's like they can't block,
That is
and it's
nice.
creating
Yep.
an artifact creature. So I don't think that that's terrible than it usually be. But at the same time, if
It's
people are
pretty.
finding out, those black red or white red aggro decks coming for your face,
Mhm.
this guy's not going to see play.
It's like you. I am not okay with just making a 1/1 for 5 unless I have 10 mana, unless I have like 10 mana or something, which and things are going horribly wrong. I have nothing better to do. Make me 2/1/1s. I have to really care. I think this card sucks. I think this card is so bad. This is like that. Do you remember what was before? I think it was Bro, where they had that 2/3. You could pay 7 to draw 2, and it was just terrible because 7 was just too much. 5 is just too much. I don't care. This
Yeah,
card
yeah.
is. I will. It is a 3/3 for 3, which means it'll be in deck sometimes, and I will never be happy about it.
It is a rate creature at a 3/3 for 3, which is, well, rate, C plus, C minus.
Okay.
And it has the marginal upside in the late game of if you have nothing better to do, you can pay 5 to make a 1/1 artifact, which means it's relevant for both the Sacrifice Aristocrats deck and the Artifact deck. I'm not saying it's good, but I am saying that it'll play like marginally better Dawn of Hope. And Dawn of Hope was weak because it was an enchantment that did nothing on ETB, and this comes in as a 3 mana 3/3. And even Dawn of Hope was still like solid D. So
Yeah, I think with all these like big booty creatures clogging up the board, that's the only reason I see that paying that cost is going to be any sort of worth it, just because there's just so much defense, I think,
I
in this set.
I see it as like you're never expecting these 1/1s to get in, but they are sack fodder for your things that you actually want to get in.
I do not. If I have gotten to the point in the game where my best option for my 5 mana is playing this creature, I'm just going to escape, and I'm going to escape concede the game. This is like a D. This is a D. It's a 3 mana 3/3 with no text on it.
I'd say a D, yeah.
I'm going D plus.
If the format is slow enough, a D plus.
If the format is slow
fast
enough that this thing
in
is
any
good,
way, a
I
D
hate this
minus.
format already. The format has gone has gone awry. In fact, I'm going to be a glorifier of suffering. I'm going to cost 2 and a white for it to be, and I'm going to be a 3/2 vampire soldier. When glorifier of suffering ETBs, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. When you do, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Now, hear me out on this. It's the late game. You've stalled out. You've drawn all your lands. You have 15 mana, and you have this guy on the board. You pay 10 mana, and you make 2 1/1 artifact creature tokens. Then you play this guy for 3. So now for 13 mana, you've sacrificed one of them, and you now have a 4/4 and a 2/2 and a 3/2, and it only costs you 13 mana. What do you think? Pretty sick, right?
I think you're
I
selling
think
this
the
card
fact
a little.
so he's gonna put the counter on himself and another creature, so he's gonna give you that
Oh,
put
okay.
it on
It's
your
on itself.
1/1 nose.
Okay. Okay. That's actually not the worst anymore. It's okay. It's not as terrible as I said. And you can do an artifact, so you can sacrifice
Yeah.
Candy Trail or
Yeah,
something.
maybe it's a hot take, but I wouldn't be too surprised if this format's like stockpiling Celebrant. Maybe a little worse, but pretty close to like that level of just sneaky value. Because really, you sack a random map token or a random like artifact you don't need, and this is 3 mana for 5/4 worth of stats.
Okay. You actually might be onto something, and there There is enough garbage in the set that we'll have something to sack probably.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
like.
he could put this on the that 1/1 flyer. Now you gotta,
Two
if
flying
you
pitch?
curved out like immaculately,
Or you could just sack the
you play
flyer
that
and
bird,
then make this
then you
guy
played that
explode.
1/2 that puts a counter on it. You put it on the bird, then you sack that cat thing. Now you got a 4/3 and a 3/3 flying vigilance.
Or even better, what if
That's
you
a curve
sack
right
you
there.
sack the bird and then this thing discovers?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. Actually,
Yeah.
you know, so if you go 1, 2, 3 with this guy, you've actually kind of the game. You've buried your opponent.
Or even in the late game of if you don't have good like attacks, this can put you over the edge of if you just need +1/+1 more worth of stats. Like you draw
Yeah,
this
to
in
have
late
like a
game,
favorable
you
attack.
stack a random 1/1 and get a favorable attack, and it can break board stall.
I cannot believe you guys
And
are
you
talking about
don't
this
even need to
card.
go 1, 2, 3. You could just go a 2-drop that comes in with one of those map tokens, right? And then sack that token.
Okay.
Even a 1-drop that comes in with a map token.
Yeah, anything
Yeah.
that costs 1 to 2 mana and makes another thing would satisfy this criteria. Okay. You know what? I can't believe you guys are talking me into this, but actually this might be kind of playable.
I think this is kind of playable.
Is this like a C or a C plus for you guys?
I made my hot take. I'm gonna stick to it. C+.
I'll go C plus because I was really excited to go black white this set. That black white sack aristocrats.
Man, there is the upside there. If you do, okay, so like you go on one, you play the bird. On two, you play a bear or something. And on three, you sack the bird. This thing discovers, you don't hit a land, so it becomes a 5/4, and then you have a 3/3. So you have a 5/4 and a 3/3 on turn 3.
Is that good?
I mean, that is pretty good. I'm actually okay. You know what? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go. I can't. I have to go see. I wanted to get on the boat and dream, but like I'm gonna draw this guy in the late game to be my only creature. And it's gonna be a 3/2. I guess that's not the worst thing in the world, but it's I. You know what? Yeah, you're right. It's a C. It's a C plus. There's enough.
Can he
upside.
sack himself?
No.
You may sacrifice another creature artifact.
Okay.
You know what? No, this is pretty decent. And you know what? Even if it just comes in as a 3/4 and you sack like your whatever useless token thing, not bad. Okay, this is C plus. That's actually pretty surprising. I didn't expect to see that, but this is why we do these. It's very interesting.
Thousand Moons.
Hear those
Infantry
big butts
lens.
coming in.
Big booty, yeah.
This is a big booty. 2 and a white for a 2/4. It untaps during each other player's untap step. So pseudo vigilance.
The 1,000 moons train and fight in tight-knit squads of 10. Every 10th moon functions as an officer. Every 100th as a captain. Every 1,000th Anim Pakal as supreme commander.
So this guy is really gonna want you to do those tap strategies.
I think this guy goes in every single deck with planes in it.
Whoa.
It's not the most synergistic, but man, is this the blocker I want in my life.
You just put a single counter on this thing at any point, and it just turns into like a. There's been like formats with playable 5-drops that cost this much. And it's vigilance. Better vigilance.
There was the 2/4 last set, right? For 4. That created the food token.
Well, then there's like the 3/5 flying, I guess, but I cannot see a world where this thing is not like at the bare minimum like playable.
If this format is super aggressive, this is what you want to combat the super aggressiveness.
And
If this format is slow, this is how you get to the late game. I see
If
it.
this format is a
slow,
mid-range-
I think you're gonna want him. If this format is slow, you're not necessarily gonna want him unless you're playing those like tap strategies.
I would play this guy, and I'll put the 2-drop counter guy on him. I don't know. I'm gonna find a way to put this guy in my deck. If this card is not like a let's see, let's go with a C. If this card is not a C or better, someone's gonna have to prove it to me.
I'm on
I'll go
C
C minus.
strictly because the only reason I wouldn't want to play this in my deck is for synergy reasons. And so if I have better synergy with other things, I might play other things over it. But if I have nothing better to do, this is a rock solid playable that I will not mind playing in my deck.
Yeah, it's fine. You're always okay with it. Oh, Tinker's
Ooh.
Tote. 2
This
and a
is
white
where I want to
artifact. When Tinker's Tote enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens. You may play 1 white to sacrifice Tinker's Tote. You gain 3 life. Never leave home without a gnome.
Nice.
This thing, I swear, every format they make something that prints 2 1/1s, and I underrate it, and then it ends up being like one of the best cards. And
This is
I am not gonna
fantastic.
make that mistake with this card. This card is just. This is like. How many of these are you guys running?
Yes.
Yes.
As many of them as I can get my
Okay.
grubby little hands on.
Because you're getting the fact that it's just an artifact that does this. And you know what? You may need that 3 life, or you may need to meld onto something. This is where I want to be.
It fills
This
out
is
your
like,
it fills out
yeah,
your
I'm taking
descend
this.
curve. Like if you need an artifact in there, you just play a white and it descends for you.
The
Yep.
synergy of this card is really what puts it over the edge. It creates not 1, not 2, but 3 artifacts on ETB. When you sack it, it descends, and you can craft using it from your graveyard, not just from the
God, that is
battlefield.
gross.
And you can sack it to other random sacrifice
Does
effects.
this going to be our first B?
This is my first B.
Okay.
This is the first B, yeah.
Is it a B or a B minus? Because it is only two. It is a 3 mana 2/2.
I think it's a B.
Yeah, okay, you're right, you're
It's
right.
a B
I'm
minus for
hyping
me.
too much.
I know, like I have to be the voice of reason as the resident like aggro specialist here. It is a 3 mana 2/2. It's a little better. It has a lot of synergy, but it is a 2/2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps it out of like solid B tier or B plus. But no,
Yeah.
like
Okay,
just
maybe C
reading
plus.
this card-
Maybe C plus.
I'm gonna stay with
You're
B
right.
minus. I do think there's enough there.
Yeah.
And
I'd go C plus. I'm holding out on that B. I
So
want
you-
something to really.
You want your B to really impress you.
Yeah.
No, I love Tinker's Tote. It's a B
Yeah.
minus just because 3 mana for 2/2 worth of stats is a little bit under, but still you can't ask for much more from something like this.
If it's gonna be underrated, this is what I want to be doing.
Yep.
Okay, great. What does this card do, John?
So we got Adaptive Gem Guard. A 3 colorless, 1 white for an artifact creature. Good gnome. You tap 2 untapped artifacts and/or creatures you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on the guard. Activate only as a sorcery. Now I liked this card all the way until it said activate only as a sorcery.
Yep.
It's a 4 mana 3/3. These cards always play terrible.
It
This
is.
is
Yeah.
this is just another iteration of the cards. It's like a D minus. Someone's gonna play it, and it's
D
technically
minus.
yeah. It's just
It is a hill giant if and only if you didn't have to activate only as a sorcery and could do this at instant speed. I could see it cracking D plus tier.
cracking it to D. Really making the big push.
Really making the big boy push. As it stands, this is the definition of a D minus. I will only play this if I absolutely have to, or if there are literally so many random artifacts running around that tapping 2 of my random artifacts is effectively nothing, and this is just a 4 mana 5/5.
Yeah, and if you're already getting into these more expensive cards, I'd much rather be doing something like this. This is Old Tech Archaeologist. It's 4 and a white for a 4/4. It's a human artificer scout. When it ETBs, you can either return an artifact from your graveyard to your hand or just scry 3. So it never misses. It always hits. It's the perfect common 5-drop thing. It's not great, but sometimes if you need something that fulfills the mana requirements of being a 5-drop, it gets you there. It's like I usually give these cards like a D, and that's about what they are. Sometimes you
Yeah.
need to play them, and they do what their mana cost suggests.
This is my definition of D tier card. Of it, has a nice little bit of value, and it's a 5 mana 4/4, which is a little below where you'd want to be at. But if you need it, well, you need it, and the extra value is not totally negligible. Even still, not great.
Yeah, it's just the fact that it's you're playing like what 3 or 4 or 5 cost cards in your deck, and if this is gonna be one of them, what else were you taking?
Exactly. It's like you didn't open it. You opened the rare land or something, and then this is all you got. Like someone else in your colors. and they're sitting next to you, whatever. You play them sometimes, and it's all right. So I'm giving it a D. Nate's
Yep.
giving it a D.
Definition of
John.
D.
Just moving on from that. Oh, I think Oh, I see. There's another.
Yeah, Oltec Cloud Guard.
Oltec Archaeologist. Did I miss
That
the
was
card?
what was the D.
What was Oltec? Oh, I see. I
Or
switched
getting
them.
to Cloud Guard.
I see. I switched them. I accidentally switched them. Oopsies.
Hold your horses there.
So Oltec Cloud
Wait,
Guard.
we're going to quicksand whirlpool, no?
Did I made a mistake.
Yeah.
You missed 2.
So Oltec Archaeologist we did. I see. So they got out of order a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Okay.
about that.
So Oltec Cloud Guard was not what we gave a D. Is Oltec Archaeologist.
I'll fix that after you read.
Got it. Oltec Cloud Guard is 3 and a white for a 3/2 flying that when it ETBs make a 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature token. It is fixed preening champion in white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Preen Champion was really good.
Preening champion was the mythic common of that format. Its win rate was what, 62%?
I famously had a deck with 5 Preening Champions in it and a paper draft, and I didn't lose like any games with it the whole night.
It was, yeah. Multiple preening
Now-
champions was 2.
But this is 1 mana more.
Yes.
You do get
And I
one
think
extra
that holds
power.
it back significantly.
I
Going
think-
from 3 to 4.
I think it goes from
But
like
still.
it goes from like being a B plus 3 drop to being like a D plus C minus 4 drop. I actually think it's still actually decent enough to get into C minus for me.
I think this is solidly playable. I don't think it goes all the way down to D plus. It's C minus minimum. I'm gonna go C on this.
Okay.
I think
I'll go
because
C.
it makes an artifact, it becomes more playable as a one of in a lot of or just random decks that want artifacts or sack fodder or those kinds of things. And 3/2 flying's not nothing because there's not a ton of flying in the format.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I'm with Nate on this. C.
Okay, good. C minus C. Pretty reasonable. Quicksand Whirlpool.
5 and a white, instant. Costs 3 less to cast if it targets a tapped creature. Exile target creature. This is often 3 mana exile target attacking creature.
Ew.
Is that good?
No.
I'd say it's better than the deal 4. Because it exiles.
What do we give the
not
4?
allowing them to
What do we give
descend
that
or
thing?
recur that creature is going to
Cosmium
be
Blast. We
more
gave it D
significant
plus
in this
C
set.
minus.
Okay, I'm gonna give this thing this. This card costs an extra mana, and it doesn't work on attacks. I think it's worse.
No, it does work on attacks.
I'm saying like if I'm the aggro deck and they're blocking,
I see. I see.
I would never put this in my deck. But if I'm an
Yeah,
aggro
yeah.
deck, I'll put the other card in sometimes.
Mhm.
I think this card is worse.
This card.
This is like the control version. I think control in general is just like.
This card for me gets the same rating as Cosmium Blast because it's the same type of deal for the opposite style of deck. Of the aggro deck is going to play a Cosmium Blast and it's going to be not great but fine, playable enough. This is the control version of you will, as a control deck, play 1 and be okay with it. 2 is pushing it, but
Yeah, now you're getting sad.
good enough to make it out of D plus tier to C minus tier for me.
I'm giving this
Yeah,
card a D.
I'm not playing more than one of this. And then I'm just gonna say it's like slightly better than the blast. Simply because it exiles.
Okay, so you're with Nate on this one, C minus.
Did I give the other one a D plus?
You did.
You gave the other one a D.
Yeah, Cosmium Blast got a D plus from you, John.
Okay, I'd put Cosmic Blast to D, this D plus.
Okay, well, usually we don't do retrospective ratings, but for you, I'll make a special exception this time.
I mean, I don't mind putting them on the same.
I know,
because
I just
one looks prettier.
True. Soaring Sandwing, our last white common. 4 white creature dinosaur 3/5 flying. When Soaring Sandwing enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. It has plane cycling 2, which means you can pay 2 and go get a discard it and go get a planes.
I
So
think this is the worst of the cycling cards here.
it's not saying much. I don't think many of them are too playable.
I think exactly one of them is fairly playable.
I mean, okay. Let me
I
play.
actually thought they were pretty decent this set.
Let me play devil's advocate here. You're kind of just dirtling around. You're like a controlling white deck. You know, you're not the aggro white deck, and you care about descend. You you can always plane cycle to trigger your descend, and if you care about having all the creature types in, you can get this. Can be like getting one of your creature types in there. And then when you do finally stabilize, you can either bring it back, or if you have another one, you just play it down. You gain some life, and you could even consider blocking with your 3/5 flying, which I don't love, but I don't know.
No, that was not a good argument for
That doesn't
this
sound
guy
very
here.
good.
That's the best I can do.
Yeah.
I don't think this card is very good.
I
I think this
would
card is
rather play my top end from any other color in this set
it's
instead of
fixing.
this thing.
It's fixing.
But it's too slow. If this was plane cycling 1,
Then yeah.
I'd consider it.
I think for me, if I really have to be honest, I love how the artist elected to have the nice forest cave in the background with in the foreground you have the nice sense of perspective as you see all.
So are you giving this card a nice art?
I think this card has really nice art, and I think the artist did a great job.
I'm gonna be honest. As a card design, this is embarrassing, but it does have nice art.
Nice art.
Okay. I can't wait for this to be like a B or something for some reason.
We're gonna be completely wrong about this.
I'll
Just
eat my
you wait.
shoe.
All right, and with that, we've wrapped up all the white, and it's time to, as long as everyone's ready, to move on to the blue.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's move to blue.
Cogwork Wrestler. It's a blue for a 1/2 artifact creature gnome with flash. And when it ETBs, target creature and opponent controls get -2/-0 until end of turn. I love this guy.
I would put this guy B-. Just off of that pose. That exudes power right there.
Yeah. I respect.
And that is the exact pose that I'm going to make when I blow out somebody with this card.
Honestly, you make a very solid argument. I will give this. It's a combat trick, but it's on a stick, and it's a 1-drop stick, which is a pretty decent stats, and it's an artifact. I'm gonna go C+. I can't quite go push it in the B for me, but I do appreciate the pose. The pose is very
I love the pose. I love that it's an artifact. I love that it's got flash and has a combat trick on a stick. It's a 1-drop with a fair amount of text. That being said, do I want to play 5 of these? No, I don't.
Yeah.
So, C.
Okay. Yeah. No. Fair enough. Okay. So C, C+, B-.
B-, yeah.
Okay.
I believe in you, Cogwork. No.
I believe in you. You're gonna be there for me when I need you most. Okay. C, got that dialed in.
Araska Puzzle Door, 1 blue for an artifact. Pay 1, tap it, sack it. Look at the top 2.
Oh, hold on 1 sec. 1 sec. I made a mistake. What I need to do is go like this. So this is, sorry about that. This is the last card we just showed. It was cut off on the thing. And then this is Araska Puzzle Door.
So, yeah, it's a 1 blue artifact. Pay 1, tap it, sack it. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard. It is 2 mana cycle as an artifact. Meh.
I mean, I'm paying 2 to... What was that?
You're paying 2 mana to get an artifact, ETB trigger, and effectively draw a card and maybe descend again.
Not a fan.
I'm trying to believe in this card. I think the fact that you have to sack it is just a lot.
I mean, at least it replaces itself. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. But that's not.
You know what? You're gonna put this in your Artifact Matters decks, and it's going to fulfill the role of just being being there.
Being an artifact that exists.
And like in your Descend decks, you're gonna. It's the same thing. You're gonna you're gonna put if you need to get to Descend 4, like this is the artifact you kind of don't mind playing.
Yeah,
Because you have nothing better to do on one, might as well.
It helps you get to Descend 4.
Like not everybody can have a Cogworth Wrestler, you know.
That's true. That's true.
And sometimes this is just what you gotta do, especially if you're looking for like that and that you're like enchantment to like get that 4th creep type in your graveyard.
That being said, it's still not something I really want to play. It's like a D. It's a role player at best.
What was what was that card in the last set that was a sorcery that was a 1 blue and it like gave you this effect essentially?
Sleight of hand?
Sleight of hand. How good was that guy?
Yeah. It was like a C-.
I think this card is essentially the same in this set.
But you can never turn 1
instead of 1.
What do you mean? You can never. Oh, it's
well, like you could sleight of hand turn 1, right?
That makes it significantly worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I fair enough. Okay, so this is like a D plus D somewhere in there.
Yeah. That's where I'm at on this.
Okay, I'll give it a D.
Yeah, I'm on D as well.
John, you said D?
D.
Relic's Roar, 1 blue for an instant until EOT. Target artifact or creature becomes a dinosaur artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/3 in addition to its other types.
These cards are always my weakness. I love them too much.
My problem.
Nobody played Water Wings, and nobody's gonna play this card.
I know, but I'm gonna play it. It's gonna be bad.
At least Water Wings offered protection, like hexproof
true.
protection. This
and it made
doesn't
him a
offer
flyer,
any of
no?
that. And it did give flying as well.
And no one played it, except for me. This card's like a D- or something, or D.
This card has nice art.
It does.
Yeah,
Well,
I like the
that's one less share to divide up. Draenok, Dire Fleet Boat Swain. Okay, so what does this card do?
Brackish Blunder, 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If it was tapped, make a map.
What was the map?
A map is an artifact token with 1, tap it, sack it. Target creature you control explores, and you can only do it at sorcery speed.
And have we discussed this explore yet?
I believe we did with the white 1-drop flying bitch.
Okay, so explore. Okay, this thing is sweet, right?
It's 2 mana bounce.
I mean,
which is always fine.
I think this is gonna be.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jen.
I'd say this is gonna be as good as Johann Stopgap. This is giving me very similar vibes to that card.
This is better because it's an instant.
Stopgap was.
That's right. That's right. But Johann Stopgap actually got you to draw a card, and the bargain, especially if you were bargaining like an enchantment that wanted to go to a graveyard, made that a little better. You're getting a map.
I don't think it's going to be quite as good as Stopgap because of the way Bargain synergized and was so powerful in the format, and Stopgap drawing you a card. But I do think this will be pretty playable.
I'd play a playset of these and be happy.
Okay.
I think the map is enough for me. You just you get to choose. You can like it's artifact matters. It's use filtering for your draws. It's 2 mana at instant speed. Like you get to put something back. So like if you're just like not really having a lot to do, you can just keep putting their stuff back in their hand. I would just play basically as many as these as I could get my grubby little hands on, and I think I'd be very happy. I don't know if it quite gets into the B- range for me, but at the very least, I'd give this like a C+.
I'd go C-.
Oh wow, John's higher or lower on it than I am. I'm on like solid C of like I'll play 2 of these and be okay with it. I don't know that I want to place it because maps make you pay 1 of that extra just mana cost is a bit of a deterrent.
Okay, so we just covered the spectrum of C's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see a world where this ends up being like a B, but I could also see a world where it ends up being like a little lower than that.
I see it as a C. Like I think it could definitely be a C, but I'm
Yeah,
just
this could go either way for me. It could go significantly up or significantly down depending on the meta.
Okay,
Mhm.
very fair, very fair. How about this one, John? What's going on here?
Ooh, inverted iceberg. It's an artifact for one colorless and a blue, and it says when inverted iceberg enters the battlefield, mill a card, then draw a card. And it also has craft with artifact for 4 generic and double blue. And it flips over to a 6/6 iceberg titan. It's an artifact creature golem, and it says when the iceberg titan attacks, you may tap or untap target artifact or creature. I'm all on board on this card.
Oh, you're drinking the Kool-Aid?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Mill, then draw for 2. And you know what? If you don't need it, you know, you're gonna descend because blue is part of that like descend archetype. And then in that late game, I think it's solid at that 6 mana slot that it's gonna turn into a very relevant creature. So I'm I'm liking this card a lot. This is what I think this archetype is trying to do in one card. Like the blue black descend deck. This is what it does.
It costs 2 mana. It does not affect the board.
I'm looking at what I gave Araska Puzzle Door because it's about Araska Puzzle Door. It has a little bit more upside, being able to pay 6 and have it turn into a 6/6 if you throw away another random artifact.
Would you guys play a 6 mana 6/6 with this ability? Just vanilla?
It's not ideal, but if you need it,
Like, would you just put, like, if this was just if you just got like in draft, you're drafting and you see an Iceberg Titan, like, what pick are you happy taking that card?
on the wheel at best. Of this to me is 2 D- cards stapled together, which turns into like a DD plus.
I'm putting this at C. I
I
really like that you're gonna discard, you're gonna draw, and it's a piece of something that's going to craft.
the meta the speed at which this meta would have to be for this to be an acceptable turn 2 play just is beyond comprehension. It's been so long since I thought, it's turn 2, it's time for me to dirtle. Like, I don't need to block. I don't need to do that. It's fine. I'll just mill a card, draw a
But
card.
do you even want to play this on turn 2?
No, that's the
That's the
problem.
point.
I don't.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you could go like,
I think I'm giving this thing like a D-. I was very close to commenting on how beautiful the purple ice is, but I think you guys are, I don't know, somehow you guys have talked me up. I'm giving it a D-. I don't like it, but I will hedge on not looking like a complete buffoon when this is like a B- or something.
this is like I'd say this is on the level of sleight of hand.
You know what? What are you gonna give it? I'm giving it a D-.
I was gonna say C, but you know what? Yeah, it doesn't really affect the board, and for so many sets, it has been pretty quick. But I think this set is a little slower, so I'm gonna give it that C minus.
Okay.
2 D- cards stapled together are a D.
Okay. Good. Well, this will be a fun one to revisit.
Yeah.
Next, like when we do our sunset show, because that's always a fun segment. Is making fun of past us.
Yep.
Okay. Oaken Siren. 1 and a blue for a 1/2 flying vigilance artifact creature siren pirate. Woo! It has
Yeesh.
tap, add blue. Spend this mana only to cast an artifact spell or activate an ability of an artifact source. So it's a flying vigilant blue mana artifact card.
House. This is a house.
I think this card is sweet.
This is my drinking the Kool-Aid. Blue common.
know, man.
I love this card.
I want this thing to be good so bad.
Yeah, it's a pirate and it's an artifact and
pirate.
it is flying and vigilance and is a mana dork, so it pings your opponent. Is artifact is a pirate for those relevant synergies,
Yeah.
and is a mana dork for a significant amount of. If you're building your artifact decks right, you have lots of artifact spells or sources for this to add mana for.
Man, I hope this card is
This
good.
is just doing very little, so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 mana, flying vigilance. You're like, okay, 1/2. It blocks those 1/1s in the air. But the fact that it attacks and it's gonna tap to spend a blue, I'd go B minus.
There's like the part of me that's like, yeah, and you put a counter on it. Now it's like a 2/3 relevant threat, and it's getting in there, it's doing everything. It's like, it's a 1/2. It's pretty good. I'll give it a C. I just can't imagine myself opening my pack and like looking at the rare and looking at the comments and thinking, oh hell yeah, I opened an Oaken Siren. You know?
But if you see like there's gonna be a lot of cards you are not gonna play.
This is a card that
This is
if I
gonna be a
read,
card where you're just like, okay, I think you're taking this in the middle of your packs. You're gonna get this past like turn 4 or 5, or like I'd say 5, 6, and then you're gonna be like, cool, I kind of needed this, so I could go ahead and play all my spells that should be just regular spells but are artifacts.
here's where I am with this. If when I see this thing wheel, I'm like, sweet, this deck is open, and this is a sweet card. I'm gonna do that. I know what I'm doing in this draft.
Yeah.
This is a C plus for me because it does so many different little things that it wants to be in a lot of different decks. Blue white artifacts wants this. The red blue like pirate artifact deck wants this. Just random flyers or can buff this wants this. Like there are so many different random things that want this card that it just adds up to be a C plus.
I'll give it a C.
Nice
But
for
yeah,
me.
card sweet.
I'm
I'm
liking
sure
blue.
I'm gonna cast.
I'm already liking blue more than white. I'll tell you that right now.
Hey, blue does have some bangers. I'll give you. I didn't go through as carefully as I am now, so blue does have some bangers. I'll give you that. John, you're sticking your B minus.
Yes.
Cool, very cool. Why don't you tell us about this next card?
Okay, we got Pirate Hat. 1 colorless, 1 blue for an artifact equipment. Equipped a creature gets +1/+1, and when it attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. Equipped a pirate 1 and regular equip for 2.
You know,
Pretty
landlubbers just don't understand the value of a proper hat.
Is he underwater in this and wearing a hat?
I think so.
It would seem so.
Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say about that. Is the way he's underwater with his hat is very nice.
Yes.
This card has nice art.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
That is all.
River. Speaking, but transitioning. From
Look,
cards,
he's looking for that hat, dude.
he doesn't. He knows he's not a landlubber, so he appreciates the value of a good hat. River Herald Scout is a 1 in a blue for a Merfolk Scout 1/2. When it ETBs, it explores. Ooh, that's what I like right there.
2 mana.
It's a 1/2. It's either a 2 mana 1/2 that draws you a land, or it's a 2 mana 2/3 surveil. That is Magic the Gathering card right there. I'm giving this thing a B minus. It's sweet. This will be my 2 drop. I will put 6 of these in, and I'll be loving it because I'm either drawing a land or I'm getting a 2/3 surveil one.
I'd say a solid C.
I'm in the middle. I like this quite a lot. I don't think it quite reaches B plus level for me, but it's damn close. It's a C plus, but it's a close C plus to B minus.
I think I agree more with Nate, but you know what? He ain't no landlubber. He appreciates the value of a good hat, and for that reason, he's going to B minus for me. And I'm gonna keep putting it in my deck, and if it ends up hurting my run rate, well, you know what? At least I drew my lands, or had 2/3 on turn 2.
Yeah. 2/3. 2/3 on turn 2.
Shipwreck Sentry is next. 1 in a blue for a human pirate 3/3 defender. As long as an artifact ETB'd under your control this turn, it can attack as though it didn't have defender. In a lot of decks, this reads 2 mana 3/3. Is that good?
I think 2 mana 3/3s are pretty good.
Pretty good.
Man, The only thing that there's one problem with this card that takes me from jumping completely off the deep end and giving it like a B or something.
Yeah.
It's not an artifact. You can't just have a deck with 20 shipwreck sentries in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I what I'm just seeing is a lot of the times, like this may be gonna be attacking. I could see this like being able to attack when you're not really, or when you can't really attack, or not wanting to, and then when you really need it to attack, you're gonna end up, not having that artifact in your hand.
You're
So you're
right.
either gonna have to save an artifact,
Yeah.
to allow this guy to attack, or you're just aggroing them out. Like he's good in like a blue-red pirate artifact deck, and like that's where he belongs.
He's very situational,
Yeah.
and or she, they, them. Okay, fine. I know. I was drinking the Kool-Aid on this, but now that you talk some sense into me, I'm gonna give this card what it deserves, and that's probably like a D or a D plus. I think I'll give it.
This is a build around C.
This is a build around C, but this by itself is just a number that's like a D.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only reason I could even get, like, man, it's just so weird in this set, and I think later on I'm going to talk about a card that really exemplifies how many just spells should be like instants or sorceries, but are actually artifacts. So the only way I could see this breaking into that C range is if that's more relevant than meets the eye.
This is a D for me.
Yeah, D.
I'm in for D on this.
That's sad that because I was very high on it until John talked some sense into me, but he's just right.
Yeah.
He sang a song of stupefaction. It's one in a blue for an enchantment aura. You enchant.
You sound sad.
I am. That's because I am, John. I enchant a creature or a vehicle when Song of Stupefaction enters the battlefield. You may mill 2 cards. It has Fathomless Descent. The enchanted permanent gets -X/-0, where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard.
Boo.
So, like, what do you guys think of like that like little like what creature is that in the background on the lower right there?
I think that's a merfolk.
A merfolk?
Yep.
I think they did a really cool job with like the fins being like wings almost for the under.
He almost looks like a, or she, they, them,
they them.
looks like a hummingbird.
Yeah, that's really cool. But like a merfolk, yeah, that's a really good
Merfolk
notice.
hummingbird.
I'm glad we noticed that.
My one caveat with this card is if the Descend deck is playable, this could come up to in the D range.
Okay. So anyway, so say
Exactly. Exactly.
Nate, what does this card do?
2 in a blue for 3/2. When an ETBs look at the top 3 cards of your library, you may put 1 back on top of your library, put the rest into your graveyard.
I think this card is sweet. He's just kind of like he's putting stuff in the graveyard. It's like
It doesn't quite draw you a card, but it does set up your draw.
it's almost like a Scry 3, but you only get to keep 1. It's like actually it's like Surveil 3, and but you only get to choose 1 on top.
Yeah.
I think that's really strong.
I think this will be really quite good, especially in decks where Descent is relevant. Of you can just put 2 permanents into your graveyard at 3 mana, and you don't have to put 1 back on top. So if you draw 3 permanents you don't want, you could just put them all into the graveyard, and you've descended 3.
Yeah,
One
like
go.
I wish this thing was a 3/3, but I'm still.
That's
thinking,
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yep.
Is your wishing is a 3/3?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's what
really
he holds me
holding
back
from liking this card.
Yep.
I still like it enough because I think the effect is relevant enough. And like, sure, if the Descend deck just ends up being a complete whiff, like this card isn't that great, it's still probably fine.
Yep.
I'll give it a C. I'm willing to bite. I think I'm Surveil 3, keep 1 is enough for me.
I think this is a speculation based upon the meta of the format. If the Descend deck is better, this will be better. If the Descend deck is worse, this will be worse. It's borderline C++. I'll go C, but it could easily be C++.
I'll go D plus.
Okay. You're just not convinced because of the stat line?
Yeah, I feel like I could even see like this is a 3/2. Put a card to your hand. Like
Yeah. If it drew
you
you
know,
a
it doesn't have
card,
evasion.
if it drew you a card, honestly, it'd be a B minus.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Straight up.
If you drew the
I
card,
just think it's like they could have spared that one toughness.
Mm-hmm.
I see where you're coming from, and I think you might end up being right, but I'm willing to speculate. I'm willing to believe, even though like Wizards has set a precedent in the last few sets of whiffing on entire set mechanics. Like I'm willing to believe in them.
Yeah.
I'm willing to believe them on that. We'll see. Speaking of things I don't have to believe them on, Waterwind Scout is a 2-mana 2 and a blue for a Merfolk Scout 2/2 flying, and when it ETBs you get a map token.
Solid.
Great. Yeah, right? Like super nice. I think it's like a C plus. Just it's like a little better than
I
rate.
am playing 3-4 of these in
You gonna go up to
my
B minus?
pirate artifact decks. It's not quite B minus. It's a C plus for me, but I will happily play 3-4 of these in because it's a Windrake that makes you an artifact that can either buff your creatures or draw you a card later down, and so it goes in the artifact decks. Like it, you're just playing this in blue decks.
Yeah.
You're
Just play a
playing
blue
this
deck.
in any blue deck, and you're happy about it.
Yep.
Which is like
Yep.
very rock solid C plus.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I'd go C plus. I
Perfect.
like this guy.
Yeah.
Girl, they them.
They them. Yeah, exactly, right. What does this card do, John?
Ancestral Reminiscence. That's 3 colorless for a blue sorcery. Draw 3 cards, then discard a card.
Dude, I've been after playing the last set, whoa, with that 5-minute draw 3, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on this guy. It's great. I love it. You don't
Yeah,
get
four
you don't get
mana.
the token and you have to discard a card, so it is a little worse. But it's also a mana less, and it's not double blue.
And the discard may not be bad.
I'm giving this card
Maybe helping you
a C. I'll play like 2 copies of it and be
Into the Fate Court was a C plus, and well, this is I think a little bit worse.
Yep.
So C is about right.
I'll probably go C minus. I think it's a little worse.
You think it's enough worse that it's yeah, okay.
Fair.
I'm right there with you. It could very much end up being the case.
Absolutely.
We have 1 Frilled Cave Worm for 3 and a blue. It's a 2/5, so it's got that booty. It is a Salamander Worm. It has Descend 4. Frilled Cave Worm gets +2/+0 as long as there are 4 more permanent cards in your graveyard.
I am not for 4 mana.
So it's a 4-mana 2/5.
Have we discussed Descend yet?
A little bit. The idea of Descend is you get some benefit for when you have the number or more permanent cards in your graveyard. In this case, it's 4.
Okay.
So this really, if you're playing it on 4, is a 4-mana 2/5 most of the time. And then eventually it'll become a 4-mana 4/5. Now,
When?
when you have 4 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, which
And that's the problem.
is the
When is
problem.
that?
When will that happen? My guess would be turn 5 or 6.
I'm even slower. I think it's gonna be like a turn, unless you really are making some embarrassing decisions, deck building decisions to get yourself there on turn 6. I think this is like turn 7, turn 8, probably for me.
What would you think of this card if this was 2 colorless, 1 blue for a 2/4? Same text.
Oh, I would be like instant like
I'd be so down.
I'd be like D minus, probably actually just good art.
If it cost 1 mana less and 1 toughness less?
That 1 toughness for me that means a lot. Like 2/5 is significantly bigger than 2/4.
But it's 4 mana.
I agree, and I think you're leading down the direction that I'm heading, and that's that this is like a D minus for me.
The magic number in this format for the like really cheap red and black removal spoilers is 3. So it having more than 3 toughness keeps it out of range of like an abrade. But
Well, there is the gray black -5/-5,
that's the
and
thing.
there's
That
also
is just Premier.
But
You're
it's
not
a
getting any
common.
better than
But it
that
is a
as
common.
removal.
So this dying to that hurts it, and it being most of the time a 4-mana 2/5 just not good enough.
Like, it was hard for me to play a 2-mana 4/5 when I was playing Johan, and Johan does a lot more than get +2/+0.
Yeah.
That's true.
Your 4-drops just have to do more.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
4 mana, you gotta do better than this. This doesn't even make it D+ for me. Or D- to me. For
This
me.
is just
This
a
is
really
just a solid,
good-looking worm.
good looking
Yeah.
worm. It just doesn't synergize enough with anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. I'll stick to my grade because I said it, but you might be right. What about you, John?
Yeah, I think he looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
He kind of
And,
looks like
and he does.
axolotl.
Yeah.
And,
he does.
and the artist did a really good job on that card. Out of Air, 2 double blue. Really, just it's an instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a creature spell. Counter target creature. The flavor on this card, especially just because you're a blue player and you're just choking the life out of someone, on point. Is this card Ice Out too? Electric Boogaloo.
This is definitely comparable to Ice Out. I think so. But that being said, I don't want more than 2 of those in my deck.
Mhm.
If I am choosing this.
Mhm.
Because 4 mana to counter an artifact that is probably going to come down and beat the hell out of me. I think the fact that it doesn't counter like the artifacts with that, I think makes it significantly worse. And when are you ever really wanting to play a 4 mana counter spell?
No.
This is kind of maybe just a 1-up, to be honest.
This is a one of at best for me.
Yeah.
Countering your opponent's big creature for double blue is still a lot to ask. So if you're like very blue, Ice Out was good because you could bargain it and it had bargain value, and at worst it was 3 mana counter target spell, which is okay. This being 4 mana at its worst is so much worse.
It really is a
That's true.
lot worse. Yeah. Where are you guys landing on this? You gonna play it?
Not happily, D-.
Wow.
I'd go D. I was thinking about it, and the more that I'm just like, to see it really as a 4 mana counter spell, nah, I'm not down for a 4 mana counter spell.
Even when Ice Out, I knew it was like technically pretty decent. I still have never really just enjoyed having the card in my deck. Yeah, it's hard. This is a hard one. I'll give it a
Because
D.
what's the blue counter target creature spell?
I don't know.
Erase Essence or something like that. It's basically would you play that, but worse. And I'm not really down to play that.
Yeah, Ice Out had me really like loving it, and that it's just not. It's not there. It's not Ice Out.
It's because Ice Out is sacking those hatching plans.
Oh, and I was
That's what you're
definitely
looking at,
hatching
right?
plans last format.
Many plans were
What does this card do?
Unlucky drop.
Uh,
3 and a blue for an instant. Target artifact or creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library.
Do you guys like moats that are misleading?
yeah, that's basically.
Did you guys play that card? I don't think I ever cast that card.
We
Nope.
might have cast it once between us. And then never again.
I would give this card a D-. I think it was just barely playable.
D-,
so.
barely playable.
All right. Oh, I did it in the wrong order again. Darn it. Wailing Pirates is 3 blue for a 3/3. In ATBs, if you control an artifact, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun count on it. This just seems to me like a worse version of the card that was essentially unplayable from the last set in white.
Hill Giant with marginal upside of being a pirate and stunning something for a turn pretty much all the time. Still not good enough.
Get out of here.
I think this one goes in good art tier for me.
I'll say D- because it's a pirate.
Okay.
I'm with John on this one. D- literally just because it's pirate.
Wow, I think you guys were unbelievably kind to the Pirates, and when you guys cast that against me, I'm going to say thank goodness it was the Waylaying Pirates. Didact Echo. What does that one do, John?
He's going to cost 4 generic, and a blue for a creature Spirit Cleric. When he enters the battlefield, draw a card. And he has flying if you have Descend 4, which is 4 or more permanent cards in your graveyard.
This
I want to like this guy.
Descend
but-
4 to get flying is so painful.
I really like
Right?
the jellyfishies.
Why at 5 mana is it having me Descend 4 to have flying?
Yeah.
Why are you not just a flyer? Like 5 mana 3
Like
2
it should have
flying
lifelink or something.
draw a
if you
card.
descend.
would be technically playable.
Like if this thing got lifelink when it descended, I would be at least interested in thinking about it. This is just I don't know why they take these beautiful like why is this card why they just literally why waste the cardboard?
The art is beautiful.
The art is beautiful,
art
so I
is
guess it's not a
beautiful.
waste. That's the
Again,
point.
nice blues and purples.
Yep. It's good that we have so many talented artists getting exposure.
True.
I think we were very much spoiled in Wilds of Eldraine, and this is definitely taking the power level down.
Yeah, but I don't care. It needed to have flying.
Yep.
Like there's a yeah, it's no. No, not that one, Chief. Marauding Brine Fang is 5 double blue for a 6/7 dinosaur. Now that's okay. Now at least we're getting something respectable as 4/3 and island cycling too. If
That's
you
a
want
chunky boy.
a 7 mana thing and you didn't open any rares, this guy is a 7 mana thing. It's really annoying to remove. It's very big. It's like most removal doesn't kill it, and if they have exile removal, they're spending their turn removing it. Modern Magic cards. This Modern Magic just is just not kind to these kind of cards.
But it has island cycling.
It doesn't matter. And Cycling 2 is just not good enough because it's Modern Magic just does not put these cards in the deck. Good decks don't run these cards. They're too clunky.
It is what I like to call technically playable if you literally didn't see any other top end. But Island Cycling 2 is really painful. Ward 3 is okay, but not how like this card doesn't win the game by itself at 7 mana, and in Modern Magic, in Limited, you want your 7 mana spells to win you the game. So it's technically playable in a pinch. It's like a D- for me.
I'm gonna go ahead and up it a little more just because it has that island cycling. And again, this set really looks like it's gonna be a lot slower than what we're typically used to. So I'll go ahead and put it to like a D.
I'll be a responsible adult and give it D-, but it just seems like I can't think of the last set where I would have put this in my deck and been happy about it. And that wraps us up for blue. You said D-, Nate?
Correct.
We'll see. Maybe it'll end up being a B.
Yeah.
You never know. That's the fun. So now we are moving on to the black.
Dang, my favorite color, but unfortunately, oh man, I really wanted to make a case for this too. But I got to get going.
Okay. Then maybe what we can do is we'll stop the video here and maybe just break it up into multiple videos.
Yeah, I think that would be good. We can just do 3 parts to the commons: white and blue, then black and red, and then green and the rest.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. It was an absolute pleasure having you on, John and Nate. This was the epitome of salt. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, decimate that bell, and obviously subscribe and comment down below if you want more spicy Lost Caverns of Ixalan content. The epitome of salt signing.
Maybe lost in Ixalan, but you're found here at the Salt.
The salt mines.